You know, there's something particular in this verse. Grace becomes personified. Grace is something that's with Paul. It wasn't Paul that labored, grace labors. But you know, when grace labors, that doesn't mean we're apart from grace. We and grace are one. Grace works. Grace energizes. Grace motivates. But grace is the one who really labors. You know, you think about the Apostle Paul's life. That grace energized Paul, motivated Paul to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ across the whole known earth at that time, at Paul's time. You know, he made 3 journeys. He traveled all over the place announcing the good news of Jesus Christ, the grace of God. And you know, his life wasn't a bed of roses, kind of like our life. You know, not a bed of roses. Maybe some of you are sleeping in a bed of roses. Any bed of roses sleepers? Jasmine probably saying. You know, but the apostle's life, if you did any reading in the New Testament, you'll see his life after he believed in Jesus Christ was full of many, many sufferings. You know, this guy was in prison, beaten 5 times, stoned, left for dead, left out in the cold, many times without food to eat, persecuted by many people, including the Gentiles, all of his countrymen, his loving Jews, persecuted him. His life was not a bed of roses. Now you might think, well, that sounds like a pretty exciting life, but it doesn't sound very fun. You know, it sounds exciting. You do all these things, be all these things, go through this problem, go through that problem, have that suffering, keep on going. But that isn't any fun. Exciting, yes. Fun, no. So through this, 3 things really struck me as I was reading through these verses. We should really make these our memory verses, especially verse 10. So good. First off, the grace of God gave Paul a way to keep his head held high for his past and for his present. You know, forget about your past. You can't do anything with it. You're just rubbing sawdust together, worrying about what happened in the past. You know, Paul didn't worry about that. He didn't think about that. He didn't dwell on that. He didn't have a pity party. Oh, woe am I. You know, he didn't worry about how his family had a poor upbringing. Maybe some bad things happened to him. No. He held high. Why? By the grace of God, I am what I am. He's joyful. That should be our stand too. And then secondly, the grace of God motivated him, operated him to labor more abundantly than all the apostles. You know, I'd like to tell everybody today, you know what? Your future is bright. You can do whatever you want by the grace of God. Don't struggle trying to do all these things outside of yourself. Stay in the grace. If God meant it to be, it will happen. If not, it's by His grace. Relax. Take a chill pill. You need to learn to live by His grace. We are people under His grace, living by His grace, enjoying His grace. And then lastly, the happiest thing I have to tell you today is this. This is the same grace of God that is available to all of those who are believers in Jesus Christ. That means that grace that empowered the Apostle Paul to keep his head high for the past, for the present, to labor abundantly in the present, to have a future full of good things. That grace is available to you and to me. So his experience should very much be our experience. Doesn't mean you're going to go along, the whole rest of the known earth and present the gospel. No, but we have the grace of God. Our relationship is all based on the grace of God. And this is what's really great today. This is what I'd like to talk to you about today. You know, how can we be enjoyers of God's grace? So today I'm calling my message, Enjoying Grace. You know, we've been talking about worldview. You know, a worldview with a lot of Christians, they always go back to trying to do something for God. They forget. You can't make it. You can't make it. It's all by grace. So the pressure is really off. Everything we have is by His grace. Okay, so I want to define what grace is first. You know, grace has got many, it's like a multifaceted diamond. It has lots and lots and lots of definitions. If you look at it from different sides, it's very broad in definition, but I would like to show you a couple of quick little definitions of it. Number one, grace is God's love in action. And then grace is when God gives me what I need, not what I deserve. And grace is what I could never repay, but God gives me anyway. That's grace. You know, the things of salvation are something we can never repay. But God gives them to us. He's joyful to give them to us. He's happy to give them to us. He's exuberant to give them to us. And then grace is the face that God puts on when He looks at my failures, my faults, and my mistakes. You know, today I want to talk to you about you personally enjoying God's grace. We should feel God's grace, not just something in our head. You know, Christians have head knowledge. I know I'm saved by grace. I know it's all a gift of God. But you know what? Sorry. I've been with most of you for a while. We don't live that way. You don't live that way by God's grace. Mostly, you live like, you know what? God's mad at me. You know, He's not approving of me. I did something wrong yesterday. Henceforth, He's looking down on me. He's like a scolding father. When are you going to get it right, Ron? Shape up, Ron. Well, what does that do? That drives you away from God. Who wants to hang out with a person who's always critical of you? I surely don't want to. But I'll tell you what, if that is at all your thought, you don't understand grace. You'll never be an enjoyer of grace until you get the right kind of definition. God's grace is something He's joyfully willing to give you freely. Freely. Everything is by His grace. And He is happy, joyful to give you all of His grace. So for us, many times, okay, we define grace. A lot of times, though, Christians mix grace with mercy. And actually, they're very, very different. A simple definition of mercy is when God doesn't give you what you deserve, that's mercy. You know, haven't all of you done something wrong and then something didn't happen to you? You know, you got away with it. What was that? That was mercy. That was mercy. You know, you did something, and then just by gosh and by glory, you didn't get caught. Any of you like that? Okay, on this side? Angela, perfect, huh? Yeah. Just got to make sure you're all there. Well, I'll tell you, we've all done things and gotten away with them. And we didn't get caught. We didn't get what we deserved. Actually, we might have gotten caught, but we didn't get what we deserved. What was that? That was mercy, everybody. That was mercy. But that's not grace. Grace is actually when God gives you what you don't deserve. When God gives you what you don't deserve, that, everybody, is grace.